Welcome to Football Fanbox. I am your host, John Hightower, and this is the show that celebrates everything that's football in Las Vegas. Now, let's get into our first segment, the Battleground, where we have two NFL fans, one being myself and the other one being Tommy T, where we debate NFL topics with ex-NFL players Marlon Greenwood and Ainsley Battles. Let's get into it. All right, welcome to my favorite segment. It's time for the debate. Now, first question. Based on what we've seen so far in this year, who are your two Super Bowl teams and who comes out the winner? We're going to start this off with Mr. Marlon Greenwood.
Well, in the AFC, I'm gonna go with Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes. He's been doing a great job. He's been playing well and showing that he belongs here. He belongs in the league and doing great things, extraordinary things. In the NFC, I'm gonna go with Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Tom Brady. My man, Tom Brady. He has proven over and over again that he can win Super Bowls and not to count him out. Each and every time they count him out, he keeps coming back. Like a couple of weeks ago, actually when the season started, they were talking about, he's looking old. It looked like he cannot do it. Then he starts winning football games. Oh, Tom Brady's the greatest. And then the other night, obviously he had a bad loss against the Saints. But if he continues to do what he does and the defense play well and the offensive line protects him, I'm telling you, Tampa Bay, man.
See, I like that. So if there's ever a nuclear war, Tom Brady and cockroaches will survive. All right, Mr. Ainsley, you're up, young fella. Who you got?
Man. So I'm going to have to disagree with my friend Moreland. We both played, and we know football is very subjective. But, when you have a new player on a new team, there's so many other things you've got to get figured out. 38-3, you've got 5 Pro Bowlers on offense. You lost outside to a dome team. So maybe, I think your appetite may be bigger than your belly. But for those of us that are a little more fiscally conservative, right, and more realistic, as we like to call, in the AFC, we've got the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mahomes, great contract. They're paying you for the future. Lamar Jackson, same thing. You got a great future ahead of you. But right now, young kids, we were all young players at one time. You understand, it takes a lot for you to get to this league at this level.
Yes.
For a guy like Roethlisberger coming off an injury, kids, you know what desire is. Roethlisberger knows what love is. And being able to play in Pittsburgh, and I'll tell you what, COVID or not, I've been on Heinz Field. I've been in Pittsburgh. When it gets into the wintertime, it gets cold, brother. Hey, and there's only one way to play football, and that's the Steeler way. So that's why in AFC, you got Steelers. NFC, I'm going to go with the Seahawks. You play outside. I love the Saints. DeMario Davis, probably the biggest underrated linebacker in the NFL right now. But I'm going with the Seahawks. They play outside. Great quarterback, great defense. Doesn't matter what the score is. If Russell Wilson has it, Sierra's in his back pocket, man. The future is right.
See, right. You can't go wrong with that. Man. You can't go wrong with Mr. Wilson. All right, Tommy T, you're up, young fella. Who you got?
Hey, it's great. It's interesting. We're here with Ainsley Battles, who played for Pittsburgh, and of course he pitched Pittsburgh, right? And then we're also here with Marlon Greenwood, who played for the Texans, but he didn't pick the Texans. So we got a couple smart guys. I like the Kansas City Chiefs and the Steelers to meet in the AFC Championship game, and it looks like it might be in Pittsburgh. It might be in Heinz Field, which is a very difficult place to play. But Pittsburgh has played no one this year. They played the Giants and the Cowboys, and they've beaten no one yet. So
I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, so I think
we can interject.
Absolutely.
You can only play who's on your schedule.
Yes.
I can't go down to BP and start playing people in the gas station.
But in Kansas City hasn't been on their schedule. And so Pittsburgh's 8-0, and it looks like they're going to have home field. So Kansas City is going to have to go into Pittsburgh to win the AFC. I think they win it easily. I think Pittsburgh hasn't covered anyone like Tyreek and McCole and Sammy Watkins. I just think Kansas City wins that game. And the NFC, Seattle has Russ Wilson, who is maybe in the lead for the MVP so far this year, but suddenly Seattle has like the worst defense in the NFL. I don't know what happened. They picked up Carlos Dunlap from Cincinnati. That's a great pickup. They always pick up somebody in the middle of the year, and that's an excellent pickup. But it didn't help them in the first game. I mean, they got crushed in their last game. Their defense is a huge problem. They got Jamal Adams from the Jets, who's been out the last 4 or 5 weeks, so they're going to get him back. Seattle's defense has to come up. They can beat the Saints. They can beat Tampa, especially if you got to go up to Seattle. It's a difficult place to play. You're right. You're right, Ainsley. It's a terrible, terrible place to play visiting teams. Seattle's defense has to get better. If it does, I don't know. DK Metcalf is a beast. How do you stop him right now with Russ Wilson?
People say we look alike.
Yes, they look very much like him. So I like Seattle against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
Can't go wrong with that. I simply have Tampa Bay beating Kansas City only because I'm a huge Tom Brady fan, which is not what you need, but I don't care. I like Tom Brady, and I think he beats Mahomes again.
Great minds think alike.
You
Great
better
minds
believe it,
think
baby.
alike.
You better believe it. Mr. Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield. There's time that's coming, or is it going to last forever? Now, if you're the general manager of those teams, are you bringing them back, or are you going to find somebody in a trade, free agency, or go to that draft? What are you doing with Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield? Let's kick it off with Mr. Ainsley.
So if I'm in Cleveland with Baker Mayfield, we're going to let him go. We'll go with Case Keenum. We have a solid backup who's got some NFL experience. If I'm New York, we're just playing for the first pick in the draft. Or you're going to leverage that to really upgrade your team. Le'Veon Bell, again. But again, it's all rolling dice. Live in Vegas, it's all betting. It's calculated betting. Sometimes, hey, you get it. Sometimes you don't. Lamar Jackson, 32nd pick of the first round. 31 teams missed on him. So, again, it happens.
And Bill Polian said that he should switch the wide receiver, which I don't know how he can get away with even saying that before the draft. He said Lamar might want to switch the wide receiver.
Oh, I remember that.
Idiot.
You're right.
Right.
Who
You're
said
right.
that?
Bill Polian.
Yeah,
the supposed
GM of
the
the
great
Colts.
GM of the Colts, the Carolina Panthers, and the GM of the Bills when they lost 4 Super Bowls.
No.
He's got a great record. I think he's might have been in the Hall of Fame. But he claimed that Lamar Jackson might want to switch to wide receiver before he played a down in the NFL, which is an absolute joke. I think that's why ESPN took him off.
Well, you know what? If you go back and you look at the scope of NFL history, when you look at athletic quarterbacks, especially quarterbacks of color, they typically want to put them in the wide receiver skill position role.
And he's from that generation.
And
yeah.
I was very proud to hear Lamar Jackson say, I'm a quarterback. I'm not going to play receiver. If you don't want to draft me, so be it.
Mr.
But
Thomas,
this is who I am.
we're going to come back to you. Give me your answer on the Darnold Baker Mayfield decision.
Yeah, there's no way that you keep Darnold if you have a chance to draft Lawrence from Clemson, even though Lawrence is saying he's going to go back to school for another year just to not play with the Jets. But
Don't underestimate
but you
the
gotta. I mean, Lawrence is a smart guy. He's pulling an Eli Manning and what the Elway did the same thing. They didn't want to play with certain teams. They said no, and they got to pick the team they want to play with. But the Jets, they got to take Lawrence. And the Browns, I'm not a Baker Mayfield fan. I never was. Baker Mayfield got tackled by a security guard in college. like an old white security guard sacked him in college. No one saw that the YouTube video. Like, how do you pick him? But the other thing with Baker is he's an excellent actor. Have you seen his commercials? Like
Best commercials.
Baker's got a career on TV and film. He's not bad. He's a better actor than a quarterback right now.
And I can't disagree with that. Mr. Marr, well, talk to me. What you doing with Sam Darnold and Mr. Mayfield?
Well, yeah, obviously, Sam Darnold is out of there for the Jets. And the Jets gonna draft the quarterback from Clemson, and he's talking about not staying. But how can you give up on an opportunity like that? You can only get a chance. You don't know what's gonna happen your senior year or whichever year you go on playing in college. You could get hurt, and this opportunity will never come again. To be in that position. So that's one of the things. And you know what? He still has the opportunity to say that even if the Jets draft and be like, hey, I'm not playing for the Jets. I think back in the day, didn't Eli Manning did that one time? He was drafted by
Yes, sir.
Chargers and was like,
Yes,
I'm not
sir.
playing. and he went up to New York. So as far as Baker Mayfield, man, everybody gives Baker Mayfield a hard time. Some don't like him, but I don't know. I see something in Baker. I think he has that quality that if he just get everything together, he can be a good quarterback in this league. This year, obviously they lost Odell Beckham Jr., which was a big loss for them. Hopefully he can be able to pull it together. And it's still halfway through the season. We have a lot more football to play. And Tommy mentioned earlier about, the Pittsburgh Steelers didn't play anybody. This is the NFL, guys.
Thank you.
Everybody
Thank you,
in
Marlon.
here is good. Everybody. So it's not just another game. You know what? If the Jets had beat New England the other night, guess what?
All right,
And he was
so
looking like that.
I get what Marlon's saying. He's like Biggie Smalls. He's gonna give Baker one more chance. All right, Biggie, let's go on to MVPs. Who's your leading MVP candidate right now? And also, don't just tell me who your MVP is. I want to know how you pick your MVPs. Are you going with the best overall player like Michael Jordan? Or are you going with a guy who puts up crazy numbers on an okay team like Mr. Russell Westbrook? Or are you the best player on the best team kind of guy? So let's start this off with my main man, Tommy T. Tommy, how do you see it?
Yeah, like I said earlier, Russell Wilson seemed to be in the lead there. He had a couple bad games. He had multiple turnovers this last game, and then I think 3 games ago he had multiple turnovers. But until then, he was playing like almost perfect football. And he's never even received a vote in previous MVP races, which is ridiculous to me because he's a great player. So I think sometimes sentiment takes over with these also. A lot of times the writers, whoever votes on these things, they like to give it to a guy that maybe wasn't treated fairly in the past. So I think that has something to do with it. I think Russell Wilson's still in the lead. If he finishes strong, I think he's got it. But Mahomes is still there. I don't think Brady's going to win it. I don't know who else would even be in the conversation. I don't think Big Ben or Drew Brees or even Aaron Rodgers. So I think it's going to come down to Russell and Mahomes, and I think Russell's going to win it because of, like we said earlier, like that sentiment thing.
Okay, I can respect that. Mr. Ainsley, how do you see this thing working out?
So I'm thinking of my MVPs. You want the best player, but you also want somebody who's going to make the players around him better.
Right.
So when you're undefeated, all I can do is play the people you hand me. Okay? When you go 8-0, quarterback touches the ball every play, you've got to put Big Ben in there. But we're not talking about the past, and that's one of the things I really want to make clear. We're not talking about yesterday's money. We're talking about what have you done for me lately. And that's what the league is about. What has he done? He's won.
All right,
So-
we got a slight argument on this one.
No, 8-0 means there are no losses. So you can't argue with a 0.
Tommy, interject, please.
Is Ainsley? It's a good thing Ainsley didn't play for the Jets because he'd say that Darnold would be MVP. But luckily, he played for the best team. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know how Big Ben gets into voting. I mean, he hasn't really made anyone that much better, but he's got maybe the best defense. Russ Wilson hasn't made DK Metcalf better or Tyler Lockett. I mean, it seems like he's making everyone around him better.
I guess let me give you a better MVP pick that most probably will not see coming.
Okay.
Josh Allen, Buffalo.
Ooh, it's quiet 7-2.
Off the Buffalo roster.
A quiet 7-2. You're right.
Nice.
I'll go
Where
with
are
that.
the Buffalo Bills without Josh Allen?
They're 6-3.
Nice retort. All right, Mr. Marlon, set us straight, baby. How do you see this MVP thing working out?
I agree with both guys. I agree with both guys, but I'm waving closer towards Ainsley because I like a player that makes everyone around him better. A player that when he's out there, he does what he's supposed to do and help his team win. And he's proven in the past that he can win Super Bowls and done it. And he's coming off the injury and able to go out there and present the leadership that he has done. I agree with Patrick Mahomes, and I also agree with Russell Wilson. Great quarterback, does a lot for that team. Won the Super Bowl as well. Did they win the Super Bowl? Come on, my CTE is kicking in here.
They won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's what
they
I
won
thought.
one and they lost
Won one and they lost one to
Just don't
Check out for a second. What are we talking about?
Russell.
to New England there when they were supposed to run it, and they ended up passing it, and they got that interception. And, yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that. You're
Yeah.
right. You're right,
Marshawn
young
Lynch,
fella.
1
Yeah, I was
yard.
thinking
You're right,
about
young
it.
fella.
He did
Yeah.
it again last
But-
week. It's clear that Russell can't throw a pass inside the 10-yard line. You should never let him throw. Just have him run it to another interception in the end zone.
See, poor
No.
Russ. That's still
No,
my
but-
man. He's
but-
still putting in work.
So the quarterbacks that I have, I like Roethlisberger, I like Mahomes, I like Russell Wilson, but I love Tom Brady. Man, I love Tom Brady.
And he's making the team better. They
You
had
know,
a 30 ranked
exactly.
defense last year. Now the
You-
defense is like in the top 10.
I mean, look at how New England is doing this year.
They lost 38-3.
I mean,
They're going to have bad games. Everybody has a bad
They
game.
lost by 35.
that's one game. That's one game, and Drew Brees seemed like he had a lot of sleep. So
Sometimes,
he was out there
hey,
throwing, he was out
sometimes.
there slinging. Everybody looked like
I
on the
don't
Saints
know.
team was
Yeah,
like.
sometimes we have a
there were
bad
lot of
night. I'm
energy.
sorry, Linda.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
let's get to the last question. How long does it take to know if a quarterback is right for your team? You're going 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Tommy T, I want to hear from you on this one. How long does it take to know when a quarterback is right for you?
Well, these guys were in practice with quarterbacks, and they've seen quarterbacks for the first time, so they're gonna give you the accurate. They're gonna know. They're gonna know. Like, they're gonna tell you what they say is gonna be accurate. For me, I would think that you need to watch them in an actual game. Like, I don't know. Like, I think you would need to see him with a pass rush. That seems to be like the one skill that you just can't quantify. You can see them throw, like they have all those pre-draft drills that they do now where quarterback throws like 80 passes to a wide receiver and no one's rushing them. But I would think that you'd want to see how a quarterback can handle a pass rush, read a defense, handle a pass rush, and still get the ball out there quickly. That would seem to be the one thing that you would need to know. These guys are going to know for sure, though.
And you would agree that South Dakota State, the defenses they see week in and week out are not the SEC.
Absolutely.
Is that a shot to my man, Mr. Wentz?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely not.
Absolutely.
Absolutely not. The record
No, I'm
speaks
saying if
for
a quarterback
itself.
is playing for the, like, for example, Jimmy G. Jimmy G. You've seen him play. How many seasons has he been in San Francisco? 1, 2?
Three.
3 years he's been there?
He's been to 3.
Now, are you signing him when he comes back from injury, or are you letting him walk? Because Jimmy G was the most beloved thing on the world. He was the hottest girl in the neighborhood. He was like, don't you remember you told me you love me, baby? Not even one lesson. But now everybody wants to get rid of him. So, Ainsley, talk to me.
Get rid of the Italian.
How long is it going to take you to know if a quarterback is right for you?
I've got a simple 6-step process to go through. When these questions are answered, I already know what's going on. First question is, does this guy play to the level of his opponent? And I think, unfortunately, for Baker Mayfield, that's what happens.
Okay.
You're not as good as you are. You play to whoever you're playing against. Next is how they play in the big games. After that, I'm going to ask, can the guy win from behind? Can you do that? How does he prepare? And on the last one, does he love what he does? Does he love what he do? Or does he love football?
Got you.
Not to get too complicated.
No, you're right. I can see
Because a
that.
guy that wants to win versus a guy that loves it, like a Cam Newton. Cam Newton is somebody who loves football. Because it wasn't about the contract. It was about, I'm out, I'm hurt, I got to prove myself. The money will come. Who cares about that? I'm not here to get paid. I'm here to win. I'm a competitor. And that's as football players, they're gladiators. We have a one-track mind. We have one way of doing things. Something gets in our way. Either get through it, get over it, get under it. We're
All right.
going forward.
I get what you're saying with Cam, but I think Cam is in the same boat with Mr. Lamar Jackson. I just don't trust him to throw the ball when we need them to throw the ball. We're down by 14, and this is the last 5
Fair.
minutes.
That's fair.
I won't do it.
So what I'm hearing is your first day on the job, they're not going to give you the biggest project to do. Would that be fair to say?
More than fair.
So this is first year with New England. You had how many great players have gone through New England and they can't even read the playbook?
I would give you that, except he's been missing wide open wires. He's been bouncing passes. Like, I have a sister who's older than me, and she never really played sports, but I would put her in for the fourth quarter instead of Cam the way he's throwing the ball.
The last game he played well. Come on, I watched
It's
every
the
pass.
Jets!
I watched every pass.
It's the NFL.
He played well.
It's the NFL.
And these guys just said the Jets are in the NFL.
All right, Marlon, holler at me. How do you see it? How long would it
Take
take you to know if a quarterback is good or not?
Well, the different steps, right? First, you got to see them in practice. Once you see them in practice, throwing the ball, moving around, learning the plays, you'll be like, you know what, this guy got some talent, right? Then you go into scrimmaging and you see what they do. Then you actually go into the game and see how they handle the game, how they handle the game under pressure. But it doesn't take that long for you to know whether you have a good quarterback under your hands or not. You don't need 2 years. You pretty much know a few games in if the guy is a good quarterback or if he's not. If the quarterback just need a little tweaking here and there, need to develop certain skills or not. But it's not something that takes you a long time to
I
do.
concur 100%.
I got a question for you, Marlon. Have
Yeah.
you ever had a situation where a coach wanted you to blitz a quarterback on your own team in practice and hit him just to see if he could take it, just to see if how he gets up, how he comes back at you?
I would never think they would do something like that.
There's no hitting the quarterback at
I
all.
was like, at what level? Yeah, at what level
You
are you
run-
talking about?
You get within 2
I've
steps
heard
and
people
pack
get-
your bags.
Not
man.
even,
Yeah, people
not
that
even
guy
the
with
red shirt, don't touch it.
not even the third string guy, like not even Ben DiNucci, that guy that played for the Cowboys, not even, like none of those guys ever get hit.
Not even
Okay.
the scout team quarterback
Doesn't get hit.
doesn't get hit.
Okay.
All right. And that's our segment. So we'll see you next week. And for Marlon, Ainsley, Tommy T, and myself, Johnny High, we'll see you next week. I do love those discussions. Now, let's get into something that I hold dear to my heart, the first responders. In the upcoming weeks, we will be doing our part to say thank you to all those who look out for the community. Now, we're going to let Marlon Greenwood give a little segment called Thank You to Our First Responders.
Hello, everyone. My name is Marlon Greenwood, former 8-year starting linebacker for the Miami Dolphins and the Houston Texans, CEO of the Marlon Greenwood Foundation, and Vice President of the NFL Alumni Las Vegas chapter. And today, I'm here to celebrate the heroes in our community. In the next few weeks, the NFL Alumni Las Vegas chapter, Football Fanbox, the Marlon Greenwood Foundation, the Nevada Youth Football Leagues will be honoring the people that put their community first. These are the police, the nurses, and the first responders. These will be the first recipients of this award.
All right, so join us next week. Same time, same channel. Football Fanbox says thank you for watching.